Shalom, shalom, shalom. Hold on. What's the word? What's the word? What's the word? As you see by the title, right? The is the 400-year prophecy talking about America. Talking about America. Oh, Christ. Is the 400-year prophecy mentioned in Genesis 15 speaking about America? Right? This is a prophecy that got taken down with the channel, um, the old Sakari channel, right? That had plenty of followers. Let me see this. Okay. Okay. I like it. Picasso. Right? How y'all Sabbath going? Shalom. Yes, you need shalom. Sabbath going. I gotta share this video myself. That's what I do gotta do. So this is a breakdown that some people, I wouldn't say a lot, I would say some, definitely may still hold on to, right? That this 400-year prophecy in Genesis 15 is dealing with us in America, but in all actuality, it's something that was already fulfilled in the time of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Moses. So let me see. We can read it now, and then let's get into it. Right? I have just pens and sticky notes, water bottle. I need a water bottle. Wait, hold on. Okay, we still smooth. We still smooth. All right. Right. So, let's read it, and then we can get into it. So, it starts in verse 13. Right. This is where it starts. What the hell? And it reads, then he said to Abraham, know certainly that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them, and they will afflict them 400 years. Right? So they'll say that the prophecy, they will say that the prophecy will begin at 1619. Right, or around that time. And they'll say that is a land that wasn't ours, so therefore we were strangers in this land. Then they'll proceed to say, let me just turn it on so I can see everything. Then they'll say, We will serve them and they will afflict us 400 years, right? So, I mean, when you use the calculator, Shalom Daniela, when you use the calculator, 1619, and you add 400 years, it'll bring us to about 2018 through 2019, right? Um, so that's really the main thing that stumps them is that we're past their deadline. But they'll say this is the time in which this applies to. Verse 14, and also the nation whom they serve, I will judge, and afterwards they shall come out with great possessions. So they'll utilize this and say that America will be judged, Mystery Babylon will be judged, right? And supposedly we're going to come out with great substance, right? We're going to spoil these people. Verse 15, now as for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried at a good old age. But in the fourth generation, they shall return here, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. So that is the verses that we will cover. Now, let's see. Well, we have 6 people here. A lot more people like debates, which is fine. But Shalom, we have 7 people now. 1 second. Jeez. You ever had to sneeze, but you can't sneeze? It hurts. So for those of you who are live, who here knows this breakdown? The Genesis 15, the 400-year prophecy, right? It gets brought up. It definitely still gets brought out, right? I was in Vegas. Subscribe to Zakari Vegas on YouTube and on Instagram. I was in Vegas and somebody brought this up, right? This year. So it still gets brought out, which means you still should know it. You still should learn it because it is still relevant, right? But for those of you who want to rock a hoodie on, I keep it cold in my crib, right? Egypt. This is talking about, well, not just Egypt. From Abraham, then to Isaac, then to Jacob, then down to Moses, and the deliverance in Egypt, right? So, all praises, right? Who'd you discuss this with, brother? Brother says, I forget that. Boom. My bad, Dr. Shalom just discussed this last night. That's the spirit, right? So the brother must know the breakdown then. So you want to join and get the breakdown? I'm just talking. Right? So, yes, this prophecy is important, right? Prophecy in general is important. Why is prophecy in general important? Let's go to the book of Sirach. Not just Sirach. We're going to get other things as well. Book of Sirach. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 39, verse 1. And it reads, boom. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. So, if you give your mind to the law of the Heavenly Father, and you recall the things of the ancient, you will be occupied in prophecy, right? You will seek out the wisdom of all the ancients. So that is important for you to be occupied in the prophecy. As a brother who followed the nation of Yahweh, I'm all ears, all praises, right? So, I don't know if that's a camp or not. I've never heard of the nation of Yahweh. But I mean, if they're teaching people to keep the commandments of the Heavenly Father and the faith in Yahweh, power to them, brothers. And the correct doctrine. Right? So we have Sirach 39 in 1. That's a verse to let us know that we ought to be occupied in prophecies. Let's go to 2nd Esdras 9. That's 10. 9. Second Esdras 9 and 1. It says, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, right? So measure the times, right? Be occupied in prophecy, right? You got to know what's going on. Okay, kind of. Yeah, I kind of assume with the name Yahweh. But, I mean, maybe it's not that brother's time to come into the true fold. Maybe it's time coming up soon, right? So we just got to fast and pray for them brothers that kind of on the fence, close to being there, but not yet. We got to fast and pray that they, you know what I'm saying, jump that wall and come into the fold, right? So it says, measure thou the time diligently in itself, right? It's important, especially in that 2nd Esdras when it speaks about the earth is divided in 12 parts, right? You got to be very important, very important. You got to be very in tune of these prophecies and of these breakdowns, right? Let's go to, I can use a blue letter for this. Isaiah 21. Isaiah 21 and 8. Then he cried, A lion, my Lord. I stand continually on the watchtower in the daytime. I have sat at my post every night. Right? What is the importance of watchmen? What is the importance of our duty as men who go out there and warn people? Well, we're aware of the time in which we're in, right? Same thing as Noah, right? What did Noah do? Tell them the flood is coming. The flood is coming, right? That is a prophecy that he was in tune with, right? And that's important, right? Being in tune with prophecy is very much so important, right? It helps us prove who we are as a nation, right? It helps us prove correct, warn of evil, right? You got to be capable um of understanding these prophecies to tell your people what time we in, right? We in the last days, right? It's time for us to repent, be converted, and keep the law, statutes, and commandments, right? And of course, we have, Salakia, y'all. This is the screen I should have said, right? This is the verse I read, Isaiah 21 and 8. Then he cried, A lion, my Lord, I stand continually on the watchtower in the daytime. I've sat at my post every night, right? And look, here comes a chariot of men with a pair of horsemen. Then he answered and said, Babylon is fallen, and his car and all the carved image of her gods he has broken to the ground. He's literally saying a prophecy, right? On a watchtower, right? That is your job, to be on a lookout for these things happening, right? So we can tell our people what time we're in, right? We in a time of destruction, right? We close to that time, right? But we are also in a time of repentance, right? Teaching our people where they wrong at, right? Teaching them the laws, statutes, and commandments, and who they are as a people in the faith of Yahweh, right? So the last one would be Revelation 19, right? In 10, it says, And I fell at his feet to worship him, but he said to me, See that you do it not. My bad. See that you do not do that. You know, I am your fellow servant and of your brethren who have the testimony of Yahweh. Worship God, for the testimony of Yahweh is the spirit of prophecy, right? That's important, right? The testimony of Yahweh is a spirit of prophecy. Yahbashim Yahushua, right? Wahabatham, for those who are Israelites. I don't know who watching this. Right? Pleasure to hear from you, brother. Pleasure to see you too. Right? So let's get back into the Genesis 15 breakdown. All right. Now I'm gonna pull. Let me see. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna connect my phone, that way I don't have to keep switching back on my laptop. Let me see. Light bulb. 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna connect my phone. That way I can just read the comments off my phone. I should just do this before I do all this. So that is definitely my fault. You know, it's all good. I'll just keep switching back and forth. That's fine. All right. So Genesis 15, and 13. So it mentions we got to read it slow, right? Because what's happening is this is not something that happens all at once, right? This is not that prophecy, right? This is a prophecy that happens through the span of 400 years, right? This is a prophecy that is in chronological order, right? So when we see these things being listed, it's not something that is listed all at once, right? So verse 13, then he said to Abram, know certainly that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs. That's where it starts, right? His descendants is going to be strangers in a land that is not theirs, right? Why is that important? Who knows why that's important in the chat? Who can give me a precept? Who can give me a verse that shows what that is truly talking about? Lord in Christ. What is this? Let me just exit out of that. Who can give brothers and sisters, a precept to show the strangers in the land that is not theirs? All right, who can tell me? Who can tell us? Let me see. I know there's a delay in the chat. I know there's a delay in the chat. Exodus. Boom. Right? That's what the brother done put to the screen. Exodus 22 and 21. Thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. They'll say we were strangers in America, right? You can be strangers in a lot of places, but what land were we also strangers in? Right? The brother posts Deuteronomy 23 and 7, right? Which goes into, let me just pull it up. Thou shalt not abhor Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because you was a stranger in his land. Correct. We were a stranger in Egypt. Absolutely. Right. Where else was we strangers in? What land were we strangers in? Watch this. Genesis 17, verse 8. Also, I give to you and your descendants after you the land. I give to you and your descendants after you the land in which you are a stranger, all the land of Canaan as an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. So yes and no, my beloved brothers and sisters. Yes. Right? Damn, Don, y'all would give it all the lands. Oh, that brother Don, y'all is funny. Correct. The land of Canaan. Right? We were strangers in the land of Canaan. Why? Because that land wasn't ours. Right? Abraham was a stranger in the land of Canaan. Who else was strangers in the land of Canaan? Who knows? I'm gonna pull it up on a different tab so y'all can't see. Don't want to show y'all, right? Israelites, yes. Also, Abraham, we got that. Isaac, his son, and Jacob. And then the 12 tribes were all strangers in the land of Israel, right? And so I was like, Rob, how are you gonna show us that, right? Boom. Let's go to Genesis. I gotta keep switching these translations because these translations kind of be throwing me off a little bit. Genesis 23 and 1. And Sarah was 107 and 20 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kirjath Arba, the same as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to Mount to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham stood up from before his dead and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury the dead out of my sight. What do we see? We see Abraham saying that he is a stranger in the land of Canaan. Right? Let's get Genesis 28 because we have to prove who also was a stranger. Right? Let me check the chat really quick. Okay, boom. Okay, smooth. Smooth. Genesis 28 and 1. And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, Thou shalt not take thee a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Right? Let me keep reading down. That's not the verse I wanted. Verse 4 was the verse I wanted. And give thee a blessing of Abraham to thee and to your seed with you, that you mayst inherit the land wherein you are a stranger, which God gave unto Abraham. And Isaac sent away Jacob, and he went to Paddan Aram, unto Laban, son of Bethuel, the son of the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob, and Esau's mother. Right? Showing what? What does this verse 4, tell us? Who is the strangers of the land of Canaan? This is important. I'm going to walk with y'all. I'm going to always walk with y'all. Right? Who is it says, I give thee the blessing of Abraham to you and to thy seed with you, that thou mayest inherit the land wherein you are a stranger. So, lucky, y'all, maybe the delay too long. Isaac. Isaac, right, and Jacob both being mentioned as strangers. One more, right? Now I can get plenty of verses, but that's not the point. Right? Genesis 37 and 1. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, the land of Canaan. Right? We now have 3 accounts, right? Where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are all 3 called strangers in the land of Canaan. Right? So just because Let me go back to Genesis 15. I need to keep a tab where it just has Genesis 15, not change it. Genesis 15. Maybe I should just do 13. Just pull up just the verses. Boom. So Genesis 15 and 13, and he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs. That is true. Abraham and his seed were strangers in the land of Canaan, right? This is where the clock starts. That's where it starts. Boom. This is the starting point of this prophecy, right? And shall serve them. Now I was talking about and shall serve them, right? Where? Who? Who are we going to serve? Who knows what we're going to serve? It speaks about and shall serve them. We are strangers even in our own land, right? So it doesn't just rule out Israel. It doesn't just rule out Egypt. It doesn't mean that it's automatically talking about America, right? Because we are strangers in Egypt. We are strangers in the land of Canaan, right? But when it says and shall serve them, what is it talking about? Who knows? You did serve the Romans in our land, but that's not what this is talking about. Egypt. But who? What time period would this start in? The servitude. When did the serving start? When we start serving the Egyptians, when did that start? Who did it start with? All right, this is called class. This is called live class. Lord willing, I get to do this every Sunday. Right, the Most High gives me the time to dedicate, starting at 3 p.m. Arizona time till 6 p.m. Not 6 p.m. 5 p.m. Right, we do these classes. Who is this talking about? Who's the first person to begin to serve the Egyptians that we see in the Bible? Because Genesis 23, Genesis 28, and 37 all proves that we are strangers in the land of Israel. Boom. It starts after the Pharaoh whose forefather Joseph died. So correct. That's a major point, right? We see this in Exodus 1, that the Pharaoh did not know Joseph. But what was Joseph? Joseph would be that brother, right? Watch this. Let's go to Genesis 39. Right, Genesis 39. Share this tab. 1. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt. And Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. Right? So what do we see here? Joseph, correct. Joseph started serving the Egyptians after the 11 brothers had sold him into slavery. Right? Joseph was the beginning of the serving these Egyptians. Right? So then it speaks about, well, let's go to that. Exodus 1. Right, share this. Exodus 1 and 5. And it says, and all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died and all his brethren and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied. Make sure I'm sharing the screen. And waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. This, my brothers and sisters, is when we begin that hard servitude, right? I'm talking about that tough servitude. All right, let me check the chat real quick. Boom. This is that because again, the Pharaoh with Joseph was smooth, right? We see clearly that Joseph had that dream before he was sold into slavery by his brothers, that the 11 stars would make obeisance unto him. That's speaking about the 11 brothers which sold him into slavery would go to him asking for corn. Joseph had a status in the kingdom of Egypt. So when it says there arose a new king over Egypt which knew not Joseph, meaning he don't care for the Israelites, right? He don't care what Joseph did, right? He not familiar with Joseph did, and he generally, I don't care. This is when the hard punishment begins, right? This is when bondage, right? The chains, the shackles, the abuse, the torments, the tortures, right? This is when that begins, right? Again, Shabbat Shalom to those who are still in the Shabbat, right? And hopefully those who Shabbat over, y'all Shabbat is smooth, right? All praises, or y'all Shabbat was smooth, I should say. All praises, right? Let's go. Genesis 50. Oh, I'm tripping. And 15, right? This is the account. I was dead. Joseph appeared gracious to hate us and required all evil against us. He had sent the messenger of Joseph that father. I guess we don't have to get this two circles. Pray, trespass. Yeah, this is. We can read this just for information wise. Boom, verse 15. It says, "Then when Joseph's brethren saw that their father was dead, they said, Joseph will peradventure hate us, and will certainly requite us all the evil which we did unto him. And they sent a messenger unto Joseph, saying, Thy father did command before he died, saying, So shall he say unto Joseph, so shall ye say unto Joseph, Forgive, I pray thee now, the trespass of thy brethren and their sin, for they did unto thee evil. And now we pray thee, forgive the trespass of the servants of the God of thy father. And Joseph wept when they spake unto him." Right? And it speaks about, and Joseph said unto them, Fear not, for verse 18. And his brethren also went and fell down before his face, and they said, Behold, we be your servants. Showing the servitude in which we had to serve, right? What's going on here? Yeah, Shabbat Shalom. Let's go back to Genesis 15. So it says that we shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Who knows the time frame of this 400 years? Let's see if y'all been paying attention. Who know the time year, the time line, I should say, of this 400-year prophecy? Afflict them 400 years. What does that mean? Because again, some people will say this 400 years is dealing with America, right? They don't realize that our Northern Kingdom brothers went into slavery before us, but they'll start the clock at 1619, right? Which, let me see. Let's bring up the calculator. The calculator. Whoa, what the hell? I can't pull up my calculator and y'all can see it. No, maybe I can. 438. When is the start and the end of this time period, though? Right? The 430 years is what Paul was speaking about. We talking about Ephesians. We talking about Genesis 15. When does this time start and when does it end? I told y'all already. See who's paying attention. Where did my calculator go? But yeah, if you put in your calculator 1619, 400 years for what? For the American slavery? Yaquan? That is not it. Ezekiel 4, but this is two different prophecies. Ezekiel 4 and Genesis 15 is two different prophecies, right? We will be going over Ezekiel 4 sometime on another Sunday. Okay. We will be going over Ezekiel 4, which is very important. But this Sunday, we're going over Genesis 15, right? The time starts at the stranger in the land, which would start where? Where would it start? Let's see if your brothers and sisters was paying attention. Hold on, we ain't got no sisters in here that's powerful. I just got a burst of energy. I don't know where I got the energy from. Well, I do. It's from the Most High. But we finna get zooted. The end time is when we leave Egypt. The time is when we're a stranger in the land. Right? Abraham to the Exodus. Ooh, drop my phone. So the afflicting part would start when we were afflicted when? Who knows when? Yeah, I'm gonna make y'all think. I'm gonna make y'all answer the question because that's how classes operate. You gotta be able to answer these questions. These questions are important, importante. I do need somebody to help me with my Spanish. I ain't gonna hold you. I need help with Spanish. Oh, what just happened? Oh, okay. In Egypt. Because that's really when our affliction would start. Right? So, Genesis 15 and 14. And also that nation whom they shall serve, will I judge. The nation that we're going to serve is the same nation that we would, or that Yahweh will judge, right? So that servitude and that afflicting would be with what nation? The Egyptians. That's the nations that we will serve, right? So that same nation Yahweh will judge. Now, the undercity. Keem, you gonna have to reword that. I'm not sure if that's a typo. From the time Joseph going into captivity all the way until Moses cut us out, from the time of Abraham being a stranger in the land, Isaac being a stranger in the land, Jacob being a stranger in the land, until the Exodus. Right? So, when it speaks about the affliction, of course, we'll go to that Exodus one, right? That harsh affliction that this Pharaoh, which knew not Joseph, would afflict on us, right? That's the things which we have. I don't know what I was saying. That's the things in which we would suffer. Right, but then it speaks about whom shall serve, will I judge. So yes, Yahweh will judge this nation, and he did, right? From Exodus 1 all the way to Exodus 12, we see the judgment happening unto the Egyptians. He judged them, righteously so. And afterwards shall they shall come out with great substance. Now, these plagues, right? The 7 plagues that happened in Egypt did not happen all in the span of 7 days. It all didn't happen in the span of a month, right? This is something that happened over a long period of time, right? So like, did I say 7 plagues? My bad, 10 plagues, 10 plagues. It's like, 10 plagues. These plagues didn't happen quickly, right? These are things that happened over time, right? Even when you read it slowly, this is something that accumulates over time. Is it possible that he can do it in a day? Of course, with God, anything is possible. That's what's spoken about in Luke 1. Boom. Okay. Yeah, the Pharaoh. I didn't want to zoom things, right? So this is something that happened over a span of time, right? It took time for these things to happen, right? So let's go back to Genesis 15, read it again. And afterwards they shall come out with great substance. This happened in Exodus 12, right? In verse, excuse me, y'all. We'll start with verse 33. It says, and the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, we be all dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs, being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. Lord in Christ. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels and silver, and jewels of gold and raiment. Excuse me, get on my way. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. The children of Israel spoiled the Egyptians. So when it speaks about whom they shall slot, yeah. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. The Most High giving them the 10 plagues, right? Him judging them with his miracles. And afterward, they will come out with great substance. This is speaking about us spoiling the Egyptians. We came out with great substance, right? We took their jewels, their gold. We took, as much as we could take, right? It says, and the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses at 600,000. Basically, yeah. Well, no, we can read the next 2 verses. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, or Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men besides children. And the mixed multitude, what was the verse? I just seen it. What? That's verse 38. And the mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. Right? Now, Paul does mention the 430 years, but I was waiting for this right hook for these people who do not believe that this 400-year prophecy is speaking of in the time of Abraham to Egypt, right? But rather think that it's talking about America. So we see that they took jewels, they took gold, They were smooth. They took raiment, spoiled the Egyptians, and they took flocks and herds and very much cattle. Right? That is us coming out with a great substance. Let's see. Let's go into this word great, right? And it means great, large in number, intensity, loud, older, and importance, important things. Great distinguished God himself, of course, right? So a large amount, substance, property, goods, possessions, property, goods, general term for movable goods of livestock, stores, utensil, right? Good and riches, right? We've seen that we took gold, we took jewels, we took cattle, flocks, and herds, right? And this possessions speak about all the such things, right? Um, we not coming out with great substance out of America, right? This place is getting burnt up a lot, right? Bombs hit. Um, so we're gonna keep reading in Exodus 12. And they let me check. Okay, chess. You know what? I could do this. Boom. Then I could just pull it up right here. Verse 39. And they baked unleavened cakes of dough, which they brought out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the self same day, it came to pass that all the host of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. If I had like a keyboard that like put like a sword sound, I would have hit it right there. I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you. Right? So now we have to explain the latter end of this prophecy. Right? Because they'll try to match 4 generations with the 400 years, and they'll try to match up. We came over here, this is that generation, then this is the generation, and this is generation, and now we're going to be delivered. All right, no, that's not what we're talking about. Right? Verse 15. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation, they shall come hither again. So we see that in the beginning of this prophecy, what do we find ourselves seeing? That Abraham is sojourning in the land of Canaan, right? Same with Isaac, same with Jacob, right? That is the land in which we were a stranger in. But then it speaks about, but in the 4th generation, they shall come hither again. Go where? Right? If we left Egypt, and that's where we were a stranger in, and then we got to go back. Why would we have to go back? That wouldn't make sense. And if it was America, then that would mean that once we come out with a great substance, we would have to go back into America. That doesn't make sense. Right? Letting you know that all these prophecies are in chronological order, and you have to understand the timeline, the place, and the peoples in which are in the situation or the timeline. So if that makes sense. So who knows what it means when it says, but in the 4th generation they shall come hither again? Who knows what that's talking about? Because that's an important part of this prophecy. It is important. Who knows? I know we're a little bit delayed, but it's all good. It says in the 4th generation. Right? We entered into a place. After this 4th generation. I'm putting y'all on the spot today. But today Moses Exodus. What do you mean by that? What that nigga Drewski's gay? What do you mean by that? Expound, Yike. What about Moses and the Exodus? I believe Rakeem knows. I believe he knows. I want to see if he do. Ugh. I'm gonna give it a little bit more time because I know I'm delayed. What is this fourth generation? The generation starts when we entered, when Jacob and his sons entered into Egypt, right? And the land that they're going back to, when it says, and they shall, but in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again. That is when we go back to the land in which we were a stranger, right? But the first generation starts when Jacob and his sons went to Egypt. That is the fourth generation and when it starts, right? Genesis 6. Oh, I should probably share this tab. Genesis 46. Do you see those who came to Egypt? Genesis 46 and 11. And the sons of Levi, right? These are the people who, as we see, well, we'll just read from verse. And these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt, Jacob and his sons. Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, right? And then it speaks about the sons of Reuben. And then Simeon, and then the sons of Simeon, and then Levi. The reason why we're going to focus on Levi is because this is how we can prove that it's speaking of 4 generations, right? Because we're going to go into the generations, right? So it says, and the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari, right? Let's go into this word generation. And what does it speak about? A period, a generation, habitation, dwelling, period, generations. A dwelling place, revolution of time, an age or generation can be of a dwelling place. So it speaks about a time period. Let's go back. Boom. Right? And we see the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Who knows the second generation? I'll just get it. That's fine. I'll just get it. Slakia. Exodus 6, right? Remember, Kohath is the son of Levi. Exodus 6 and boom. Exodus 6 and 16. And these are the names of the sons of Levi according to their generation. Gershon and Kohath, Merari in the years of life of Levi. 137 years. Right? Watch this when we go down. And the sons of Kohath, Amram. Right? Who knows why Amram is important? Who knows why Amram is important? The generation starts at Kohath. Kohath has a son called Amram or Amram, right? Who knows why that's important? Generation 1, Kohath. Generation 2, Amram. Who's generation 3? Because it says, and in the 4th generation, all right, we're going to read it again. In the 4th generation, Slakia, they shall come hither again. Who knows? The fourth generation or the third generation, I should say. The third generation will be Moses. That is the third generation, right? So when we go to Exodus, well, wrong tab. Exodus 3:20. It says, and Amram took him, Joshua, his father's sister's wife, and she bare him Aaron and Moses. So Amram is the father of Moses, but he is the son of Kohath, and Kohath is the son of Levi. Kohath, Amram, Moses, the fourth generation. The fourth generation, Numbers 32 and 13. And the Lord's anger was kindled against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years, until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of the Lord was consumed. The fourth generation is Joshua's when we entered into the land. That is the fourth generation. So we have Kohath, the first generation, him being in Egypt. We have Amram, Moses, and then in the fourth generation, right? Watch this. You see this? But in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again. In the time of Joshua, in that generation, they dwelt and inhabited the land of Israel. They came hither again that they were in the land that they were a stranger in. The land that the land that Abraham was a stranger in, the land that Isaac and Jacob were a stranger in the time of Joshua's generation, they were brought back in the land. Right? So when it speaks about until all that generation was consumed in Numbers 32 and 13, that's speaking about Moses' generation, those who rebelled. It was their offspring that inherited the land. Right? So, right, for the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet full. Right? That's, Yahweh driving out them niggas with the hornets. Right? So, that will conclude this class. Right? Any questions, any comments or concerns before we exit? But I want to lead y'all to go to another premiering that's happening. Any questions? Right? Any questions? Next class, we're going to review this. Right? It's a pretty simple concept. Right? Next class, we're really going to review it, but we're going to go into the Pharaoh that historically was Moses. Right? Or we say is Moses. Right? We can prove that. Better. Right? So I want to lead all of y'all to this brother's page to watch this his YouTube premiere, right? Oh, damn, I didn't want to do that. Silly elder tries to debate Hebrew with Ariala Sakara, right? Go watch this because Ariala is great, fantastic at Hebrew, right? Of course, everyone, of course. Go transition. It's the Shabbat. This is the time where we, should really praise the Most High, study the doctrine, be in tune with this word, right? A day of rest. So make sure that y'all go watch Silly Elder Tries to Debate Hebrew with Ariala Sakari. Like the video, subscribe to his channel, follow him, because if y'all don't understand, Ariala is great, right? He is great at his teaching. He knows Hebrew, he knows Greek, so definitely go to that brother for that. He's very in tune with the doctrine, very sharp brother. So make sure that y'all go subscribe to his channel and go share his video and like his video, right? And make sure you watch the whole thing, right? So with that, I want to conclude. Tuesday, we're going live as well, but Tuesday, it won't necessarily be prophecy. I think I'm going to do something different, maybe archaeology, maybe history. I got a brother out here who loves history, right? And so he could be joining us to give us sources and things of that essence. So yeah, Sundays, Lord willing, if it be the Most High's will, prophecies, breakdowns, things of that essence. Tuesdays will be more archaeology, history, stuff like that. Maybe debates too. So with that, I want to say, call Allah Yahweh, by Hashem HaMashiach Yahushai. That's all praise to the Most High in the name of His only begotten Son, who the word Italy calls Jesus Christ. Kwame Yashua, Shabbat Shalom to y'all who's still in the Shabbat today as we alive. But yeah, go to Ariala Sakari and start watching his premiere. Kwame Yashua, and y'all stay safe out here.